The governor's race is one of the biggest races in the entire country in Colorado. So we have a governor's race, we got midterms elections, we got sheriffs, commissioners, we have all the county positions are up, and the Senate and the House, so the state Senate and the state House. So this is a huge election year for Colorado. Colorado has been a significant swing state in presidential elections. It gets the lightning rod of the marijuana legalization movement because Colorado was first, even though now we have 8, 9 states that have legalized it, so it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. Jared Polis is running against Walker Stapleton, and then you got 3 other third parties. None of them seem like they have serious campaigns. So it's between the Democrat Jared Polis and Walker Stapleton, and I'll just tell you right from the get-go, Jared Polis is a beast. He is a beast. He's a progressive. Watch out.
County Commissioner.
Running for office isn't something we ventured into lightly. Zach's commitment to service didn't end when he got out of the U.S. Navy SEAL team.
Colorado is one of the purplest states in the nation, so is it conservative? Is it liberal? It's right in between, but there's been a dramatic social and economic change in recent years. Even though Colorado has been schizophrenic, it seems like it's heading towards being a liberal democratic state. So suburbs have been expanding at breakneck speed. The economy is kicking ass. There's hardly any affordable housing whatsoever because people are just buying up housing apartments. It's so scarce that by one assessment, Denver teachers can afford fewer than half of 1% of the homes in their own city. They can't even afford to live in the homes, the teachers. So there's been a major parallel political shifts too. So marijuana gets legalized in the last 5 years. We've seen major gun restrictions get passed. A single-payer health care system was introduced. Just this month, Governor John Hickenlooper, a Democrat, ordered the state to pursue a California-style.
And what will you exactly be doing in that new position, and what are the challenges?
Well, mostly I'll do whatever the commissioner tells me to do. But
Colorado, the first interior state to do so. John Hickenlooper passed an executive order challenging Donald Trump's policy at the border, telling the Colorado National Guard to not go to the border and to not rip children away from their parents. So there's, it seems that it's going to be a super progressive state, which is awesome. And my guess is that Jared Polis is going to lead the charge. He's a gay multimillionaire, self-made millionaire. So, the Democrats, it's like a Bloomberg. You can't touch him, self-made millionaire. He has been in Congress. This is for 5 terms at least. He's the current Democrat. Hickenlooper is the current Democrat governor, so that means Jared Polis has the momentum already since it's being run by the Democrats. If you think that the economy and everything's being run pretty good, then you're saying the Democrats are doing a pretty good job. So Jared Polis looks to be the inevitable one. Who's running against Jared Polis? Jared Polis, I think, is a great progressive candidate. You're going to see a blue wave, a progressive wave. All over the country, you're going to see a progressive wave, and it might help the Democrats, but you're going to see the Democratic Party here being led by Jared Polis, who's only 42 years of age, so he's just 6 years older than me. So Jared Polis is going to spearhead it's going to be a great day for the Democrats. The Democratic Party there's going to be a blue wave in Colorado, progressive wave all throughout the state, and hopefully the progressive Democrats are victorious over the corporatists. The third-party candidates, you had Paul Noel Fiorino, Scott Helker, Bill Hammonds, Unity Party, Libertarian, and an Independent. And I've asked them questions. I don't see, 2 of them didn't even have Facebook pages. So, and where's the Green Party? Where the fuck is the Green Party? There's none in Pueblo, none in Colorado. Jared Polis looks like he's the inevitable victor. Jared Polis is going to be our next governor, most likely. Who is going to stop Jared Polis from being our next governor? It's going to be Walker Stapleton, just a Republican. There is no actual challenges whatsoever. The Green Party is dead in all Colorado. The Green Party didn't even offer a candidate. So at least the Libertarians got a candidate, and there was none in Pueblo, none in Colorado. So the Green Party is dead in Colorado. But the Democratic Party and the progressives, it seems like the Democratic Party is going to get the progressive wave. They're going to benefit from that, but they're not always progressives. So what issues are going to be talked about? So Walker Stapleton, I'm going to get into more of the issues and policies. This is going to be a very contentious Colorado. This is going to be a contentious gubernatorial race. Walker Stapleton is basically going straight for all of Jared Polis's major planks: universal health care, immigration. 2016 is when Donald Trump became president. A whole bunch of shit changed in Colorado too. We became an open primary. We've got open primaries now. That should be good for independents. That should be good for the Green Party and the Libertarian Party. So the fact that the Greens are nowhere to be found is embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. 2 years ago, 2016, when Donald Trump won, the state of Colorado had single-payer health care on the ballot. It failed, and it failed by like 20 digits or so. This is Walker Stapleton is pointing this out because since it was on the ballot and they rejected single-payer, then that means clearly Colorado is against single-payer. Devil's in the details. He's saying it's going to raise $25 billion in new taxes, and it's going to hurt the working people. The working people who gets free health care and could go into the hospital and get fixed. That's who it's going to hurt, right? He also mentions that Medicaid covers 1.4 million people in Colorado. Walker Stapleton is this little short little weenie, this little dork. I mean, he's got a pretty little face or whatever, but he's not a leader. He's not for life. He'll probably say, when it comes to abortion, right, to kill Planned Parenthood, but he's pro-birth. And then when that baby is born, he don't want that baby to have any health care. He'll force an unwanted pregnancy and then ignore that baby's health care once it's born. So he pretends to give a shit about life, but he doesn't care about the lives of the Coloradan people. Healthcare is life. There's only 5% of the people that are not covered. Just to cover the remaining 5%, Walker Stapleton isn't even for covering, helping, just extending government to just those 5% that don't. He's against it. He says, and I quote, "No family should be stuck with the decision of paying their mortgage or paying for health care." Sounds like he's empathizing. Sounds like he actually gives a shit about your health care concerns. Too often these rising costs are preventing Coloradans from fulfilling the American dream of owning a home. We must create more choice and access for families in the types of coverage they can purchase. But then Walker Stapleton draws a line in the sand when he says, "Let's be clear. A government-run single-payer health care program will result in higher taxes, less choices. Higher taxes, less choices, and it will bankrupt Colorado and drive families and businesses out of our state." So what, 1,000 years of darkness? We'll get 1,000 years of darkness if we get universal health care. Get the fuck out of here. This is one of the biggest issues. This is a thin red line. This is a litmus test for me. If you're not in favor of universal health care, fuck you. Get the fuck out of my country. You don't give a shit about the lives of the American people. You don't care about the cops are supposed to protect the life and limb and liberty, the life and the pursuit of happiness. Life. Friend of mine, if you're not in favor of universal health care, fuck you. It might be somewhat expensive. It depends on how you do it. Maybe everybody could chip in $20 or something, but it's absolutely vital and it's necessary. The entire world has it. Every advanced nation has universal health care because to take care of the health of the people is exactly what the leadership is supposed to do. To take care of the education, the health care, the mind, body, spirit, soul. That's what the government is supposed to do. They're supposed to help us. And since we, the United States of America, has never had universal health care, that just tells me that our government has never given a fuck about our lives ever since the beginning. We're paying for Medicare, Medicaid right now. Social Security, these are some of the biggest expenses that we have. We could just go ahead and make it Medicare for all, Medicaid for all. It'd be easy to do. All we have is a 5% gap. In America, 95% of the people have health care. Most people have health care, but there's millions that do not. It won't be. The government has never given a damn about our lives. They've never cared about our health. And what's fucked up is universal health care is cheaper. So all these capitalists, all these, insurance companies and lobbies, they just want to profit off of your stupidity, America. It is cheaper to have universal health care. It's cheaper for everybody. It's better for everybody. It covers everybody. Good for the rich, good for the poor. Rich goes in, gets taken care of. Poor goes in, gets taken care of. Good for the individual. Good for businesses. They don't have to cover you anymore. That's good for everybody. So I don't know why Walker Stapleton is against covering those last 5%, but he is he wants to kill universal health care. And he's also big when it comes to immigration. So immigration is going to be another thing coming up. But let's finish universal health care. So what does Walker Stapleton say that we should do in order to cover the remaining 5% of the American or the Coloradan people that aren't covered? Well, just promoting healthier lifestyles, going around yelling at fat people, calling them Walker Stapleton believes is going to help Colorado. Walker Stapleton is going to go around to all the fat people and the people that aren't exercising. He's going to shame them and publicly yell at them, insult them, call them fat in public. That's what he thinks will help, right? Ads on TV to tell folks to get off the couch and go running. They're already on the couch, right? They're not getting up. And then what about building gymnasiums all over Colorado? I almost think a gymnasium is a vital resource. It's a vital building. We need gymnasiums all over the place. I mean, where are you getting exercise at if you don't have room, if you don't have a farm or place to run? Where are you getting exercise at? You need parks and you need gymnasiums, but these are public finance, right? So does Walker Stapleton believe in building more basketball courts and soccer fields and more gymnasiums all over Colorado? No, that's public welfare. He's only for corporate welfare because he's a Republican, not any kind of public welfare. He'll give our lands to the oil and gas companies, but make sure none of them are for the homeless, right? All these supposed to do. The homeless have literally no place where they're lawfully allowed to be. You can't loiter in public places. You're not allowed to live in public places. So ironically, Walker Stapleton is for two major planks of Obamacare. Walker Stapleton is for the Obamacare plank that restricts insurance from banning folks who have pre-existing conditions, and he's also for the major plank of Obamacare that allows full-grown adult children to stay on their parents' health care rolls until they're 26 years of age. So these are two major planks of Obamacare that Walker Stapleton is a diehard fan of. So I'm glad he's on board with most of Obamacare now. He says, I will, and I quote, defend patients with pre-existing conditions and continue to allow young adults under 26 to stay on their parents' coverage. Any proposals to roll back these provisions will be rejected by my administration. Diane Schwenke, the president and CEO of Grand Junction Area Chamber of Commerce, this is Walker Stapleton is going to quote Diane Schwenke, who is the Chamber of Commerce CEO, because, you know, Chamber of Commerce's all over America has got universal health care coverage. They've been done such a great job of providing universal health care coverage all over the place. Anyways, Stapleton quotes her as saying how single payer would hurt rural regions because it would tend to concentrate healthcare services in urban areas, forcing rural residents to travel to obtain services. Yeah, they'll have to drive to the fucking city to get free health care. And also, rural clinics are going to be coming too. Rural clinics will be covered. It's Medicaid, Medicare. You don't have to go to just one hospital. You go to whatever hospital you want to go to. It's universal health care. You can do, run it however you want to. This is what they're saying to the rural folks. This is a rural scare tactic. So I think all you got to do is just answer the rural folks' questions. But it's bullshit. All Americans are what Walker Stapleton wants the rural folks to understand because they're worried about health care costs in the western slopes. So he's addressing their concern about health care, and he has every other fucking idea how to solve it except for the one thing that will solve it, single payer, a public option. And Kerry Kennedy actually said she was the only one for a public option, so I wonder what kind of universal health care system Jared Polis is in favor of. He doesn't support the one that was on the ballot 2 years ago, but he does support a universal health care system. So I'm glad he picked up that issue. I asked him that question. I don't know if he said yes, but he didn't, jump on it. I don't know if I introduced it to him. Kerry Kennedy, I said, well, Jared Polis wants universal health care. She heard it when I said that then. So Diane Schwenke, they're quoting her. They're doing rural scare tactics. They're pretending that universal health care is going to cut out the rural folks. That's bullshit. Urban folks, rural folks, all folks. I don't know if the Democrats just aren't reaching out to rural folks, but rural folks are just like anybody else. So I think reach out to rural folks. All Americans, if you're sick, you get fixed. That's what universal health care means. Just like Denzel Washington's John Q said in 2002 in that movie, John Q. If you're sick, you get fixed. If you're sick, you get fixed. Everybody's getting free health care today. So that's going to be a major issue. Jared Polis is for universal health care, and Walker Stapleton is going front and center, right, taking a cruise missile to every single one of Jared Polis's major planks. The other major plank of Jared Polis is we're kind of a sanctuary state, where they've been pushing driver's licenses and some other crazy shit, which I think goes a little bit too far. So the Democrats defend immigrants to a fault, whereas the Republicans attack immigrants to a fault. There's a happy medium here. quick about universal health care. I'm not for sure why Jared Polis or why Kerry Kennedy said that Jared Polis wasn't for a public option. It sounds like he is for a public option, which means the rural folks will have a public option to get free health care. So how are we going to cover that 5% gap that isn't covered yet? They're going to want this. The western slopes are going to want, their poor people over there too. So they don't want to have to pay a shit ton for inadequate health care. Get them some free fucking health care and get them some good quality health care. So immigration is going to be huge in Colorado too. So they have the exact opposite opinions on this. Walker Stapleton is going directly after it. Now, Walker Stapleton needs to be very careful because his great-great-great-granddaddy, Ben Stapleton, who was a mayor of Denver, 5-term mayor of Denver, he was part of the KKK. So 5 terms for 20 fucking years, the KKK ran Denver, the racist KKK. He's been in, this is granddaddy, grandpappy. Oh, grandpappy KKK, this is the 1920s is when this happened. Hooded Klansmen paraded down Denver Street. The KKK got to do whatever the fuck they wanted in the 1920s around Colorado. The entire state of Colorado was actually being ran by the Ku Klux Klan. It's a racist nation, so it's no surprising that there's racist history. There's racist people here. Walker Stapleton's got KKK in his blood, and he's going to hate all these Mexicans, whether they're MS-13 or just the babies and the children and peace-loving families running from an insane political situation created by our foreign policy, fueled by America's schizophrenic policy of the bullshit Nixonian, you stupid-ass Americans don't have a right to your own stupid-ass bodies, war on drugs, the failed war on drugs, the failed 50, 60-year war on drugs, and then also our unquenchable thirst for drugs. Americans love their fucking drugs, and they love beating the shit out of people and throwing them in jail for drugs. What a bunch of schizophrenic fucking crazy people. So, as a Republican, Walter Stapleton, are you a racist piece of shit? I break down immigration. Of course we need borders. Of course we need immigration laws. Of course we need a path to legal immigration. If you come here illegally, we need a way to handle that situation too. So I believe in borders. Democrats, you got to believe in borders. You can't allow the MS-13 people to come in here. So Jared Polis loves the immigrants. All the Democrats love the immigrants. Jared Polis said that Colorado is a welcoming state for immigrants, which I want. I want it to be a welcoming state for immigrants and for our children. So let's grow. Let's welcome, new people. Let's welcome even people from Kansas and people from Montana. So John Hickenlooper had signed an executive order going against Donald Trump's policy. So I cannot stand ICE. I would be for the repeal of ICE. I'm not against Border Patrol. Let's keep Border Patrol, but the brutal tactics of ICE, ripping the children away from their parents, we don't need to be brutal about it. We don't need to be, scary, terrorizing the shit out of. When it comes to ICE, fuck ICE. When it comes to the brutal tactics of ripping families apart, fuck that type of shit. We do need to have borders. When you have a neighbor and you got a fence and you know exactly where the property line is, you know which side is your side, which side is their side. So Colorado needs borders. Now, when it comes to immigration, because Colorado is close to Mexico. Now, I heard people talk about immigration in Kentucky and on the East Coast. Who the fuck? Why are you even talking about immigration if you're on the East Coast, okay? If you're on the east side of the Mississippi River, you're just a piece of shit racist. There's only one Mexican there, and he's doing all the damn tobacco work. You're not going to do the tobacco work. What the fuck you bitching about, you racist piece of shit? So that's, if you're talking about immigration and you're not in Colorado and you're not, if you're east of the Mississippi River, you're just a dumb racist piece of shit. Immigration doesn't. Democrats had said how much they love immigrants. Kerry Kennedy said she married an immigrant. Cindy Kaufman said that Donald's immigration policy was reprehensible. That's the worst word she could think of. And the ripping kids away from the parents intentionally to get migrants to comply with our nation-state borders. It's a brutal tactic, but we do need borders. If without borders, we don't have a country. Without borders, we don't have a nation. So Colorado, let's put, walls up between Colorado and New Mexico. Where is that border at? Where's the borders between Kansas and Colorado? I think borders and fences, they're fine. Private property, this is what we believe in. Are you in your yard or are you in my yard? And because we have a fence that says that's your yard and that's my yard, we get along with one another. So I'm not against borders. I'm not against fences. I am against being brutal and being assholes and being shitty. I think we do need a comprehensive immigration reform, make it easier, make it safer, make it better. That the Democrats are cognizant of the role that they play, that they're the ones who give a shit. They're the bleeding heart liberals. They're the ones who always care. So Jared Polis loves immigrants, especially legal immigrants. He isn't going to like the criminals. He's not going to like illegal immigrants. He's not going to love MS-13. But he doesn't say those things, and I wish he would say those things. And that we will protect the citizens of Colorado. If you're getting driver's license for illegal immigrants and then they get a Spanish-speaking attorney whenever they're accused of a crime, they're getting more representation than, average Coloradans. So we need to make sure we're taking care of our citizens before we start taking care of illegal immigrants. And legal immigrants are fine. Like I said, it says this is Jared Polis. We need to make it fairer for those who go through the proper channels to protect the dreamers and to throw the criminals out. So he's for, DACA, throw the criminals out, make it fair for those who actually go through the proper. See the Democrats just have an overwhelming victory. A lot of progressives, a lot of Democrats, because Jared Polis is at the top of the ticket. Jared Polis, a lot of people are going to win off the Polis ticket. And he's also very liberal. He's very progressive. He opposes the Patriot Act. He opposed the Fourth Amendment destroying Patriot Act, said that it's not the founding fathers. We're not supposed to spy on its own citizens. He's, watch out, you oppressor regressives, the ones that love Richard Nixon's war on drugs. Jared Polis has been critical of the war on drugs. He wants to end the Federal Marijuana Prohibition Act of 2013. He's good on LGBT rights, internet piracy, NDAA. He wants Aaron's law, so he wants to protect Aaron Schwartz, and he's a Bitcoin governor. He's against fracking. Not even Hillary was anti-fracking. Allison Lundergan Grimes wanted the Keystone Pipeline, so when it comes to energy, he wants to stop hydraulic